Having a statue unveiled of you here in your hometown, what does it mean to you?
Um, I mean, it means a lot. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around, what's happening. Everyone is excited. Obviously, so many people here in Baton Rouge have followed my career since Biddy Ball days. So this is like the celebration for everyone, not just myself, because so many people were involved in this journey. And so I'm just thankful that, it's happening. Coach Marker did an amazing job of getting this done in less than a year. And here we are, January 15th, Alumni Weekend. It's one of the biggest days that you can think of as far as women's basketball. We got these ladies here that are sitting here 17-0, so it's awesome to just think about what this moment is going to mean for everyone.
It's about so over the last 40 years, so much of LSU's athletic success has been the success of its female athletes and teams. Do you feel like, as the first former female athlete to get a statue, do you feel like you're kind of representing some of the track athletes and the gymnasts and the tennis players and things like that? They're all a little part of this as well.
Yeah, I didn't do this alone. Like a lot of the female athletes, the student athletes from my time was inspiration. I remember going to watch Lolo Jones and Mona Lee and all those track runners, practice daily just to see them just get into the training element and watch their mentality as far as their approach, to their races, because we're all kind of going through our own race and our own journey. And so I do stand here proudly, as a representation of all those women during that time, because there was so many great female athletes that have come through LSU that have made statements in their respective sports that often go unnoticed. And being the first one to be recognized for my talents and my gifts, I have to say that I have to honor them as well and what they've done, and be thankful that I won't be the last one that will, obviously be acknowledged.
Hey Simone, I ran into your dad the other day, and
Uh-oh.
he said, he said one of the messages he wanted to get out, or you want to get out, or collectively you all wanted to get out, was you wanted to reach out to the kids of Baton Rouge and tell them that this is possible too, that you can be like me, you can succeed. Is that?
Yeah, yeah. After traveling around the world, it's not many of us out there, Louisianians, that are, doing great things. So I want to be a great representation for the young people here. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. I started here right at Gus Young Center and Breck recreational facilities, bouncing a basketball, and that led me to places that I could never even imagine. And so, with the right work ethic, with the right amount of perseverance and the right mentality and the right amount of sacrifice, many things are possible, and I'm living proof of that.
What is it about doing this here in Baton Rouge at Capitol High, winning two state titles, coming to LSU, going to four straight Final Fours? What does it say about you doing it in your hometown?
Home is where the heart is, and it was very, very hard during those times to even think about staying home. And you think about the state of women's basketball and where it was, and Tennessee being at the top with the Three Meeks and that legendary program, and the rivalry between them and Connecticut, and what that created as far as like your mindset and your thought process of where you wanted to go and what was going to lead you and give you the best possible advantage to get to the next level. But to go against the grain and kind of bet on yourself and do it your own way, stay at home and kind of grind it out with players that I grew up playing against and with, with Tamika Johnson and Ronnie Godonica Hodges. I just felt like the things that they were doing resonated most with me. And being at home, it gave my family, my friends, my supporters, another 4 years to really let me become who I needed to become, to then go out into the world and accomplish things that were even greater than what I was able to do here.
Simone, did when Kim got hired, did she contact you to be part of her staff, or did y'all have any conversations about that?
We've had a number of conversations. Coach Markey obviously is one of the greatest coaches, in our time. As an assistant, as a head, as a player, she knows the game through and through. And obviously, it'll be a great opportunity. If that opportunity came about. But right now, I'm just trying to figure out coaching and what's best, in the next situation for me. But obviously, Coach Mulkey has done amazing things over the past, not even 2 years, for this program, for this community here, and we want to continue to see it.
And real quick, I want to also get your thoughts, just what you've seen out of Angel Reese.
Whoop, whoop.
She's done a couple of things in her short stint here, and also was it hard seeing your team's, program best record of, start go out? Like, just talk about what this team and especially Angel too, kind of what she's been able to
Yeah,
do.
that's what records are for, is to be broken. If records are being broken, that means the game is being elevated. And it's great to see that our game is being elevated after knowing where our program has been and where it's heading. As far as Angel, I mean, she made me feel old and happy all in one, all in one day with the picture. But it's like coaches always say, you never know who's watching. And that picture kind of symbolized that. As a pro athlete, I was like, I want to make sure I give autographs or pictures to some of the younger people that's in the crowd, and not knowing that this day would come, but thankful that this day is here because Ms. Reese is now a Tiger, and the performances that she's been putting on. I mean, think about the players at her position, Sylvia Fowles, who had the double-double record until she just previously broke it. So it says a lot about where the game is and where it's going, and what she's been doing. Obviously, if you've been following her, she did an amazing job at Maryland as well, but her numbers are through the roof here, and I hope to continue to see that as we go through the season, and we push forward because I know they have some big goals ahead of them.
Seimone, when they're not putting statues up for you, how often have you been able to get back to Baton Rouge through your career? And second, do you plan, like when your coaching career is over, do you want to come back here and establish something permanent?
Oh, I'm always trying to get home whenever I can. That's the best food in the world now. Since I've traveled the world, it's the best food, and no one can argue with me about that. But definitely, I'm always trying to come home and give back and do things in the community. Try, different tournaments, different free throw competitions, like stuff that just can kind of, rally the youth around. But I'm definitely looking to come back home. Cost of living is a lot cheaper here than it is in other places. So anytime or whenever, I do slow down, I'm going to lay roots here in Baton Rouge.
I know you've talked about Coach Gunner many times, but it seems like it's appropriate to talk about her now, especially with your statue going up, as a coach that recruited you and coached you and whatnot.
Yeah, I can't say enough about, Coach Gunner. I was just speaking in the last interview, and I was saying that, they were the first program that even contacted me. They knew the secret before anybody else, before I became a national, player of the year and all that. Like, I remember my first letter from them was from Coach Starkey, Coach Gunner, and it was handwritten. And that matters because it signaled to me that they cared enough to take the time to write a handwritten letter when I received so many other letters that were typed, and it was like you could take my name off and put someone else's name on it. It would still, be the same. It would still have the same effect. But a personalized letter on stats or career or grades, like knowing what my report card said that year, really meant a lot. But then after coming here, Coach Gunner basically was like a mother to us all. It wasn't a day that went by we couldn't come to the office. Wasn't a day that went by that we couldn't go to her house. And speaking of, she had some of the best breakfast that I could think of. And she, her house was our house. We would go to her house and tell us we were going to watch the Roy Jones fight at her house, and she better have paid for it and had some snacks and everything waiting for us. And she would be like, okay, cool, lock my door when you leave, But she created this environment. She created the mantra that we live by: dream big, work hard. And the biggest part of that mantra was no excuses. I'd never seen her make an excuse other than when her golf cart wasn't charged up and she couldn't get around campus. But, she was the driving force, in everything that we did, even up until her last season.
What are some of your favorite memories from those 4 LSU teams?
Man, obviously the New Orleans Final Four. I remember getting, the officers assisted us all the way to New Orleans, and we sung to the top of our lungs. We were singing Usher. That's when the Usher album came out, and we sung that album to the top of our lungs. But, getting into that arena and seeing the purple and the gold flying in that arena. I remember pulling up to the hotel, and one of the staff members forgot she was at work and started second lining. And she tore it up, as we entered the hotel. But there's many, many different moments that I can remember from, hitting a shot against Georgia to get us to the Final Four. Trinell Gavlel, making 10 points in that particular game. Wendell Jones getting the rebound to seal the deal. The charge against Stanford. You name it. we can probably go through history, and it's just like any moment that we can pull out.
What do you remember from playing against Kim Mulkey and kind of how
Uh-oh.
her team?
You know what? That team was always tough. Defensively strong-minded. We were always ready to play them, but it the energy was always through the roof. The teams were so young, how physical they were. They never gave up. They fought to the end, and that's something that we always respected. And you have to understand that's the type of player Coach Mulkey was. It's the type of player that I grew up watching her when she played at La Tech. Like, we all know the two braids and, the feistiness that she displayed when she played, and that's what her teams were like. And so, it's just kind of bittersweet because she got that championship on us. But if anybody was going to get a championship on us, I'm not mad that it was her.
Earlier, I asked Coach Mulkey about, I had read an article that she said she regretted not getting you, but she felt like Louisiana Tech was never really in the hunt because she knew you were going to stay home. What does that mean to you?
I know. I remember going down. I came down to camp, right? It was her and Christy Curry were there at La Tech, and I went to the camp, and it was just like, it was a little bit too country for me. But it was Louisiana Tech, and like I said, I grew up watching, her playing with Teresa Witherspoon, Leon Ballmore, the coach, and, we all know what they did for women's basketball during that time, and so you have to honor that, you have to respect it, and take that trip and actually let them make their pitch and, walk on that campus, because you never really know, until you get on that campus what feeling you're going to feel. But it wasn't for me. It was home was where the heart is, and obviously she knew she had an uphill battle, but they put up a valiant effort to try to get me there. So there was always much respect there.
We'll move to questions on Zoom. Brandon, if you would like to unmute people as they have a few questions.
Yeah, Simone, this is M.A. Vogel from ESPN.com. I was wondering two things. If you could talk about just your impressions of this year's team and what you've seen of them so far. And then also, if you talk about for your generation of players, what it means to have honors like this, to have a statue, because your generation of players, has really built the WNBA to what it is.
Okay. As far as this year's team, I mean, they've been playing amazing. It's been a journey to see them, from the first game to now. Obviously, everyone's a little bit worried when you get into SEC play because of the SEC and the powerhouse teams that they have. But it's been great to see them come together and certain players step up and do what they've been doing. It's been great to see how they've reacted to Coach Mulkey and her intensity as a coach, and not, and rising to the occasion. Even last night I was just talking to him, laughing about him, like, my girl right here missed a couple free throws at the end. I'm like, come on, you got to tighten that up. But it was great to see that. Give me a heart attack. Y'all give me a heart attack. I'm going to tell y'all that now. Y'all give me a heart attack from time to time. Y'all let them cut that 18-point lead down to about 4 or 5. But I like how y'all bounce back. And so that's what it's really all about. Obviously, everybody's waiting to see that South Carolina matchup. Obviously, I am too. But I want them to continue to get better. I want them to continue to enjoy, because it looks like y'all really are having fun with one another. Y'all really picking each other up. And that's what it's going to be about as you continue to push forward to the NCAA tournament and other areas. So continue to lift each other, continue to have each other's back as you go on this journey together. As for the generation of players that I played with, I always say I didn't do it alone. I remember a number of times here at LSU where I was like, oh my God, what did I sign up for? Conditioning, Bob. Look, Bob got to chuckle himself. The amount of conditioning, do y'all do that? Like, y'all do the suicide on the football field? Really? We're going to have a conversation about what y'all doing around here, but, we... Oh. Y'all don't do no conditioning? No. But we're going to have a talk. But no. The players that I had coming in here, they understood the expectations that were placed upon us, and we pushed each other every day. It wasn't a day that went by, and the staff knew it too, and they knew that they could get the best out of us by challenging us individually, but collectively as a team. And so we were able to just kind of withstand and compete and do things that we didn't even think we could do. Like some of the stuff that we did, we kind of laugh about it. I talked to Tamika not too long ago, and she was like, "Did you ever think we would ever, win SEC and do this and make it to the Final Four this many times and win these?" I'm like, "No, girl, I didn't think we was gonna do it, but we did it." And so it was amazing just to be able to share those moments with players that, like I said before, I grew up playing against, and to be able to come together and be a part of Louisiana history and LSU's history is amazing.
Thank you.
Zoe.
Oh, I thought I was next. Okay.
Uh, sorry. My name is Zoe Collins-Rath with The Advocate. Simone, with you being the first woman at LSU to get a statue, are there any other women that you would like to see get a statue that'll be right next to yours?
I think Coach Didi is getting one, right? Or conversations surrounding the gymnastics coach. I used to love to watch, the gymnastics team during that time. She did an amazing job. Obviously, you can see our gymnastics team is still doing a great job now. Sylvia Fowles. I don't think I need to go into any explanations on Sylvia. Who else? A number of track athletes. We can go down the list of people that we can just pull out. Our track team has actually been probably one of the most successful programs in our history. When you think about it, the amount of national championships, individual or collectively as a team. You name it. We have a number of people that could be celebrated, and I think it's just a matter of us going through the history books and pulling people out and making sure they get the recognition that they deserve.
Thank you.
Hey, Simone, congratulations. This is Christina Williams with Girls Talk Sports TV and MSG Networks. My question for you is, hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, you went out for a half a second.
Oh, okay. When you think about your legacy and its totality with this program, what would you say your legacy is in your own words? And then also, what are some of your keys to success?
Man, I would hope that someone else can describe my legacy. Like, for me to have to put a word on it, right now I can't really put one word to what my legacy means, to not just to myself, but to everyone. I think I would tomorrow, I think it'll be a lot of conversation, and they'll have better conversations around what that word is as far as describing my legacy. What was the second part of your question?
What are some of your keys to having such a great success over your career as a basketball player?
Oh, work ethic. It's not a day that goes by that I'm not thinking about how I can get better. When I'm now in coaching, I'm like reading books, on YouTube, studying the greats, watching film, figuring out what my philosophies are going to be, or what my system is going to be, things like that. And it was the same way as a player. It wasn't a day that went by that I wasn't thinking about what I could add to my game, because as you know, every year, in sports, you have to be a different player. You can't come back. The scouting, the technology, it's too advanced for you to be the same player. You have to add something to your game. So every year, whether it was conditioning or a mentality that I needed to have, or a shot or a move, or footwork, or whatever it was, I just conditioned myself to believe that this is what needs to happen, this is what will happen, and this is what's going to happen in order for me to accomplish my goals. I've never been a person that sat down and really wrote out my goals. I just knew what it was that I needed to do. I would look at other people and I say, I think I could do that more times than her. It was a competition thing for me, and I was hoping to be like one of the top competitors that people have ever competed against.
We'll take one more question on Zoom, and then we'll invite Coach Bob Starkey up to answer a few questions if y'all have any.
I think we're good, Grant.
Okay.
Woo woo.
Would you come up and join us, please?
I'm saying. Uh-oh. Yeah, we got some talking to do. They ain't doing no running. What they doing, Coach?
We'll talk later.
Okay. They jumping rope.
If you have a question, we'll get a mic to you.
Bob, I don't recall exactly how much were you involved in Simone's recruitment throughout, and at what age were you able to see what a special player she could
Well,
become?
I certainly wasn't the primary recruiter, but when you have a player like Seimone, everybody's on board. I mean, whether it's a letter from your athletic director or everybody was involved. The first time you saw Seimone play, whether she was in junior high or high school, you knew she was special. I mean, she's that kind of player. She's, some players you need to watch 2 or 3 times. The first time you see her, you're like, it's a no-brainer. She's special. She's iconic. She's different.
She just asks to kind of highlight her career and what she means to LSU. Can you do that?
It is really hard to sum up what she means, not just to our women's basketball program, not to our school, but to the entire community. I mean, it really is. I think Skip Burtman summed it up the most when he said she was the most influential recruit in the history of Louisiana State University athletics. I mean, that's a powerful statement. I think it's true. She changed the culture of our program by being a great competitor every single day in practice. I mean, people ask me my favorite Seimone moments. It's practice. It's not games. Practices were amazing, and it's because she set the temperature every day.
Bob, obviously with the men's program here as well, been around some other players that have statues already erected, but when you talk about how a player affects their teammates around them, how would you best describe how Seimone did that, not only at practice but also in games as well?
Well, they say leadership is the example you set, and she set it in everything she did. I mean, from her practice, her work ethic, what she did in the off season, the unrequired work, her preparation, film study, the weight room. I mean, she was absolutely obsessed with being great, and she understood all the elements that went into that. And she just didn't make the players better. She made the coaches better. We had to elevate the way we were teaching, the way we were coaching, because we never coached anybody like her before. And then it was the way she did it. I mean, it was the way she opens up to the community. It's the way she signs autographs. It's the way she's with other people. I mean, and it's not her favorite thing to do. She's a private person, but she understands that role and goes about because she understands the responsibility that comes with greatness.
Coach, everyone's looking for the next. It's been 2 decades. There really hasn't been anybody like her since, right?
There'll never be another. There'll be great players, don't get me wrong. She said records are made to be broke, but there will never be another Seimone Augustus, not at LSU. I mean, she was homegrown here. That's what makes it different. A lot of great players go to schools, but she was born and raised here. And she understands and loves Baton Rouge and the community and understands the culture as well as anybody. So I will never forget that April day when she signed. A lot of people don't know this, but we did not know she was signing with us. So we're sitting in Coach Gunner's office in front of the TV, watching the local news like every other basketball fan, waiting to see if we got her, if she was going to that school up north. And she popped out of the damn gymnasium wearing orange. And I will not repeat what Coach Gunner said. But when she announced LSU, I can't describe how it felt to us because we knew we just didn't get a great player. We just knew our program was getting ready to change forever.
You were around the former Chris Jackson, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Is there kind of some parallels? There hadn't been anybody like him since either.
Well, the thing that I could tell you about Mahmoud is he was very intentional and deliberate about everything he did, especially his off-season workouts, and that's what Seimone was. She just had an incredible dedication and commitment to being the best that she could be, and it's so hard to describe to people that don't understand, because when I say that, I know everybody's thinking about the jump shot. but I've never coached a player that moved without the basketball better. By the time she was a senior, she was the best screener on our team. She was an excellent defender.